Okay, we're going to do this next example. We're going to change 3/8 into a decimal using long division. The key here is to set up the numbers correctly. Your numerator, it's going to go inside the house and your denominator is going to go outside. Now we're going to figure it out how many times 8 fit into 3. There's no number times 8 that will give you 3, so it's going to be 0. After we do that, we're going to multiply 8 times 0, and we're going to write down the 0 underneath the 3. Once we do that, the next step when we're doing long division is subtraction. We're going to subtract 3 minus 0, which is 3. At this point of this problem, we have to continue because we're not going to have remainders. So in order to continue with this division, the decimal point has to play a big role here. Every single number does have a decimal point, but we don't use it because we don't need it. In this case, we are going to use that decimal point. We're going to write it down next to the 3, and we're going to right away write it down next to the 0. We're going to add a 0 in order to have that 3 to become a bigger number so we can continue with the division. So now that we bring down that 0, we have a 30 instead of a 3. Now we're going to go back to the division process. We're going to figure it out how many times does A fit into 30. That number is 3 times. 8 times 3 is 24. After we multiply 8 times 3, which is 24, we're going to write it down underneath the 30th, and then the next step, remember, is to subtract. We are going to subtract 30 minus 24, which is going to give us 6. Are we stopping the division here? No. Remember that we need to continue. We are not going to have remainders, so we're going to add another 0 in order to have this 6 become a 60 and be able to continue dividing. Next step, remember, is division. We're going to divide now and ask ourselves how many times 8 fit into 60. That number is 7. 8 times 7, it's going to be the closest one, which is 56. The next step, remember, is to subtract. 60 minus 56 is 4. And we're going to continue with the process that we actually started since the beginning. We're going to add another 0 to continue with this division and have that 4 become a 40. We're going to bring that down. The 0, it's going to be next to the 4. So now we have a 40, and we're going to start the process again. We are going to figure it out how many times does A fit into 40. That number is 5. 5 times 8 is 40. So we're going to multiply. Write that 40 underneath the other 40, and then the next step is to subtract. Notice that we don't have any remainders now, and that's what we want. We ending up with 3/8. It's going to be equal to 0.375 or 0.375. This type of decimals, don't forget, it's a terminating decimal. Decimals that don't have a remainder or have a 0 remainder are called terminating decimals.